in sales, when that's your profession as a salesperson, you can work for a company that gives preferential treatment, gives this one over here the better leads. That's why
Right.
he's making more money than the others. And these guys found out, and word got around that you get a level playing field with me, like in the military. And it's based on performance, and I don't care. So they would call their friend and say, come over here, we're helping people. Plus in sales, there's a lot of people that say, if they could just find a good service or product that they could believe in, they'd be able to throw themselves into it. And
Right.
that's what they had with me. When you have a senior citizen call the salesman back and say, the collector just got me back $5,000. I'm so grateful. I have to put a hot water heater into my house, and I live in Wisconsin and it's cold. Now I have the $1,800 to do it. Where do I send your $2,500? Like that. Salesmen feed off of that. Like, wow, this feels great.
It's a good feeling
different.
job. Yeah.
Right. Rather than if you sell a car, you may love cars, but it's a machine.
Right.
We're helping
right.
people.
Right.
And we're helping people that are being preyed upon.
Right.
We're helping people that are susceptible to these fraudsters. And
let me ask you something, because that's a very admirable thing to try to collect money from companies who have preyed on other people.
Yeah.
That's very admirable. But I've been reading, I was reading over the indictment.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see here what page. It's page 6 of the indictment.
Okay.
Yeah, here we go. So it says defendant, this is part I under rental services. It says defendant William O'Hanlon, defendant James Toner, William Chusano, LaTeresa Jackson, Alice Clemish, Michael Lamb, and others were sales conspirators who initiated contact with timeshare owners by cold calling them and offering to rent their timeshares for an upfront fee. The rental services offered by the sales conspirators were, however, used as a bait and switch to obtain customers for quote-unquote collection services, and were based upon the following knowing false and fraudulent representations. My question is that if you're a collection company, why call them and first offer rental services?
What happened, we didn't. We would offer.
So they're lying on that indictment.
We would offer them the collection services.
Okay.
And then what happened was there was a learning curve. They would then take the money we got them back and pay another fraudster again and again.
Okay.
So we were running into, I felt bad for these people. So we said, look, what we'll do is we'll advertise their timeshare. We'll put together a rental department for free. No additional fee, no additional money.
So you didn't charge them up to $1,800 for rental listings? Because that's what the indictment says as well. Collection
services.
So
we would never take a client on if it wasn't for collections. Like say someone said they were never ripped off. We turned that money away, and we turned away $400,000. That's what's called a turn away in my business.
Okay.
We rejected $400,000 in sales because the customer said that they didn't have any more collections. So we would offer the collection services first, and then we would say, we will also advertise your timeshare for free. And that's what we did.
Okay, because the indictment doesn't read that way. The indictment says that you offered rental services, and then oftentimes the customers did not even know anything about the collection services until they received the packet from you guys regarding the rental services. And then that the money back guarantee was tied in expressly with all of that together.
Yeah, we didn't even offer rental advertising until like the first year or two in business. It was just straight collections.
Okay.
But then what happened is when these people began to pay fraudsters again, and there was one in particular where a lady had paid $80,000 international wire transfer.
Oh, wow.
To Mexico.
Right.
And she called in and she's like, hey, can you help me get this back? And I'm like, how are we going to help you get that back? It's an international wire.
Right.
And she just screamed and shrieked, really, is what it was, because we had done so many successful collections for her. She just figured she could send a wire and we would get it back, and we couldn't get it back. So we said, why don't we offer the advertising for free so that they won't pay another fraudster, and we'll actually advertise their timeshare and bring them people that want to go on vacation. And we did that.
Okay,
That's
so
exactly what we did. We matched 78 customers up with 78 clients that wanted to go on vacation. 78 people that want to go on vacation, and 78 people that had vacations that they weren't using. And we matched them up directly.
And the indictment says something about it. It says the timeshare owner had 3 bonus or getaway weeks which were not part of the ordinary deeded timeshare time. In actuality, the timeshare owner did not have any of those bonus or getaway timeshare weeks, and that you guys claimed that they did when they didn't, and that you also instilled a sense of urgency in that timeshare owner by claiming that, you know, the time was going to run out to rent them. Is that true or not? No.
No, it's not true.
Okay.
And you have to understand timesharing.
Sure.
To understand what that means.
Okay.
We're calling for collections.
Right.
We're collecting millions of dollars.
Right.
These customers
and charging an advance fee for that collection.
That's right.
Okay.
And then a commission on whatever we collect. Over
50%.
Right.
Okay.
And they get the money first. So we have to trust them to pay us. And then we offered the rental advertising for free because we didn't want them paying any more fraudsters.
Sure, sure.
And we were actually going to do it, and we did.
Right.
And we actually had 55,000 in successful rentals, and we had 78 customers that we matched up. But all you have to do is Google RCI bonus weeks.
Sure.
And the government doesn't understand timesharing or something. So you have bonus weeks when you own a timeshare. You have a membership with RCI. There's an exchange bank involved, and you can use them. You can rent them out. You can do all of that. And if you sit through a timeshare presentation, they'll tell you all of this.
Right.
So I don't know why they're saying that, but what I can tell you is that all the resorts now have class action lawsuits against them.
Right.
For telling people that their timeshare wasn't available and they were putting it up on Expedia for rent. And how am I supposed to help rent your timeshare out if the resort is saying, remember those 78 people? Every single time the resort said, there's nothing available, there's nothing available, there's nothing available.
Sure.
And we were like that. We just thought they oversold. We didn't know they were actually lying to the customers and renting out their time that they may have spent $50,000 for a timeshare on to the general public.
Okay. So your company did not charge for a yearly fee $1,899 and for a lifetime fee $2,899 to provide those rental services? Okay.
No.
Okay.
No, we're a collection agency that offered the rental advertising.
Okay.
And we actually did the rental advertising. And I actually later on was able to perfect it.
Right, right.
I applied for a patent and got a provisional patent on our rental program.
That's nice.
Because the resorts, I didn't know that the resorts were just telling people that.
Right.
I thought that they oversold. So if time sharing, there's only 52 weeks in a year. And if you have one unit, you can only sell one unit a year, right?
Right.
But they were overselling, like almost like a flight that overbooks. They were overselling it. So when you went to go book, there was nothing available. This is what I thought.
I got you.
But so they may have sold one unit 50 times.
Right.
But what they were really doing is telling their own customers that there was no time available. And that wasn't true. it was available. They were putting their time up on Expedia and renting it out to the general public. We didn't know that at the time. We know now. And we rented out. They weren't, so now they all have class action lawsuits against them.
Okay.
Because I was obsessed with the rental. I'm going to solve this rental program.
Right.
My idea was we'll be travel affiliate companies. So our websites, what I did was I played off the keywords of the big boys like Airbnb, Expedia. So I owned Airbnb, Airbnb, cheapresorts.com.
Okay.
Airbnb, like I had all different variations, and I had a dozen of them.
Okay.
So, but they were international and they were in 18 different languages. So when a customer went on, could be anywhere in the world, and it looked just like Expedia. It looked like Orbitz, looked like Expedia, except we were travel affiliate. And we would commission out on flights, on rental cars, on different things. And we would take that money and send that money to our clients as advertising income checks. Okay. And I got a provisional patent on it because that's what we were doing. We were doing advertising. We're not real estate agents. We're doing advertising. And the customers received $55,000 in rental income checks. But that program cost more money to make money. Like I would have to advertise $100,000 to make the $55,000. So it worked, but it wasn't profitable. Right. So we discontinued that program.
Okay. So on the collections, and you've explained that. I appreciate that. On the collections, so what the indictment says is it says that it's basically credit card chargebacks, and I do have some experience in credit card chargebacks. Okay. So with credit card chargebacks, the way the indictment reads is that you would have the person who had been ripped off signed on with your company to get their money back. Right. And then your company would call, say, Capital One. And the indictment says that your company's officer would persuade that victim into lying to the bank agent about first the relationship of that company's agent, saying that, hey, they're related to me or whatever. But not only that, but your company's employee would also tell that victim to lie to the bank about the cause for the chargeback. I didn't make that charge. It wasn't as described, whatever that reason would be.
There was no need for that. And I'm going to go back to the conversation I had with Capital One and proprietary information. But I can tell you this. If someone is 80 years old and they're on a fixed income and they're giving away their life savings, they're not remembering the charges that they're doing. They're just not. And that's what we were dealing with. We were dealing with competency issues a lot of times. So there's a way to do it legally, and we did. And our clients do become our friends. Right. And we followed the law. Okay. All right. So there was never any issue
because the indictment reads the indictment reads that in some cases temporary credits were given. And then what happens with a chargeback? So I bank with Wells Fargo, and I bank with Wells Fargo because I believe one criminal deserves another. But usually on a monthly basis, I'll come up with a list of chargebacks of things that are not as described or that I did not order or what have you. And I will call Wells Fargo. And Wells Fargo, when I tell them this stuff, they will give me a temporary credit for whatever that amount is on that card, much like your customers did when they complained to the bank. Right. Now, sometimes my complaints do not get justified. And the bank rules that, hey, that temporary credit that we gave you, we're taking away from you. Just like the indictment reads with you guys, that sometimes the bank would take away the temporary credit. And at that point, the person's already paid you 50%. That person complains to you that, hey, I'm out of that. And the indictment reads that at no point did you ever give these people that 50% of their funds back, so they ended up losing even more money at that point.
No.
That never happened.
No. That's, again, There's a certain way to file a fraud complaint.
Okay.
Okay. And you're talking about disputes.
I am.
Okay. We never filed a dispute.
So the indictment's wrong on that.
The indictment's wrong.
Okay.
These people were defrauded. And what happens is when the fraudsters were calling these people up and saying that there were a check for their timeshare, a buyer for their timeshare, all right, and then they would take a $5,000 payment over the phone by credit card,
right,
and the customer's expecting a $50,000 check,
right,
in 6 months, and they don't get it,
right,
all right. So when they don't get it, they start filing complaints with the credit card company. And after a certain amount of complaints, they will freeze the merchant account.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So when we filed a fraud complaint and the credit card company realized that there were return mail and disconnected phone numbers, they would then go see, is there money in the merchant account from the fraudster?
Right.
And they would take that money from the merchant account and refund our customer.
Okay.
So the credit card companies never lost a penny, and I'm not being indicted by the credit card companies.
No, I know that.
It's just the fraudster giving back the money to the defrauded elderly person.
Okay.
That's what it is.
So the people who complained that your company wouldn't pay them back, they were just mistaken.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not saying we didn't have any accounts that we weren't perfect.
Right.
But I'm saying of almost a total of 4,000 clients, we had about 10 complaints.
Okay. And that would be the 9 or 10 victims that are listed in the indictment.
Right. And
okay.
Well, I don't know if I'm not sure about that. But what I'm saying is we offered a money back guarantee.
Sure.
And if we were unable to collect money for them, we issued $135,000 in refunds.
Okay.
All right. So
out of how many customers?
I'm saying a couple thousand customers total at the time. So I'm not sure how many. I'll have to find. I would have to look at that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about my case now, and it's hard for me. I don't want to give them any heads up.
No, I understand. I understand.
Our customers. Look, we would be, if you have 2,000 customers and you have 4 or 5 complaints, we would be inundated with complaints if our customers weren't getting money back.
Right.
Now, if there were customers, there were so many different aspects of it. For example, when you're a fraudster and you charge someone on their credit card, and then you see the money come out of your merchant account and go back to the customer, sometimes the fraudster will just rebill it without authorization again. Right. And the customer thinks, oh, the credit card company put the money back on my credit card. No, there's a code. It was the fraudster that rebilled your card and had no right to do it. That did it. We would get that removed again. So
and would you charge the customer again 50% for doing that? Because the indictment kind of reads like it.
No.
And you were calling it a retread.
No. That's not what it was. So we get the customer money back. We get 50% of whatever we collect. Very few ever went back on the card. Okay. That's just the way it is.
So anybody that wanted a refund from you guys, they would basically get it.
Well, what I'm saying is the government start attacking my company.
Sure.
You're acting as if we're just a company out there. The FBI is not investigating the New Jersey AG. That's not what's happening. Right. What's happening is they're calling my banks and closing my bank accounts, and they're having my staff. It's not like a regular company. They attack the company without charging me with a crime.
Right. They're doing subpoena requests for the banks, I guess is what they're doing at that point.
That's exactly right.
Right. So 9 different bank accounts.
At least.
Right.
At least.
Why 9 bank accounts?
Because they kept shutting our banks down.
Okay.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, I didn't know why your company had to have 9 different bank accounts.
Because the FBI would call the bank and say, we're investigating them for fraud, and shut the bank account down.
So you're just trying to stay ahead of the curve on that.
Yes, of course.
I got you.
You had to open up more accounts in order to do payroll.
So the indictment comes down, 7 people indicted.
The indictment comes down 4.5 years later after
Right.
the search warrant.
Right.
And I have other companies now that have nothing to do with this company here.
Okay.
All right. So we end up being able to connect with a law firm that would be able to cancel the customer's timeshare. So we would do the recovery, and then the customer would say, "Can you get me out of my timeshare?" And then we send it over to the law firm, and they would get the customer
That's
out.
not bad. That's not bad, right? I mean, that's so somebody that they don't have to pass that shitty ass timeshare down to their kids, right?
That's right.